covered. You said 28 September, day 5. Quick recap. What are the 5 themes that are there in Bhagavad Gita? Of course, there are a lot of themes in Bhagavad Gita. What are the 5 main ones? Number 1 is Ishwar. I mentioned this on day 1. Jiva, Prakriti, Kal, and Karma. Is that right? These are 5 main themes of Bhagavad Gita. Something that the world scriptures talks about, but not in so much detail. Ishwar is information about God, and we covered that in in day 2, session 2 and session 4. We pinpointed who the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the scriptures is. That's right. And then Jiva, our own identity. Who am I was day 2. Do you remember? Prakriti, Kal and Karma are 3 very interrelated concepts. Prakriti means the material nature. Ishwar is God. Jiva is us, the souls.
Why don't you have a Bhagavad Gita?
Prakriti is the material nature. Kal is the time factor. And Karma is activities. The soul by nature is active. That's right. So karma, activities, time and material nature. So these 3 things is what we are going to cover in day 5 and day 6. Rest all is what we've done in the first 4 sessions. Is that okay? Fine. With the recap now, we'll quickly start this class. Now I'll start the story of the Clark family. Do you all know about the Clark family? C-L-A-R-K-E. There's an American family who got tickets for the Titanic. Everyone knows Titanic, I'm sure. Even if you don't know the Clark family, it's okay.
They didn't board it.
Right. Yeah. They had tickets. There were 3 kids, husband and wife. 5 of them, tickets to Titanic, expensive tickets. Just 1 week before the voyage started, what happened? The youngest child, the boy, was bit by do you remember? Bit by a dog. So then, because of the danger of rabies, he was not allowed on the ship. Because, sometimes it's contagious and it could be dangerous. They didn't want to take any chances. There were a lot of VIPs on the Titanic. So then, they asked the Clark family to cancel their ticket, and this was a major setback for them because it was so expensive, plus they were looking forward, they were so excited for this trip, and just because of some reason, and a very small reason, a dog bite, they cancelled. But 1 week later, they were really happy. Why? Maiden voyage, it sank. So they were thankful. So the question right now, what we would like to start today is, why do good things happen to bad people? Or why do bad things happen to good people? That's the question today that we're going to solve. And quickly I'll write the review of this class today. What we're going to see is spiritual world and material world. That's the first part of our class. Part 2 is jail of the material world, under that we will see punishment, two P's and 2 C's. We know what this 2 P's and 2 C's are. 2 P's and 2 C's. We'll see what it is. Punishment and purification, chains and clothes. So what is this 2 P's and 2 C's? 2 P and 2 C's. Is that okay? Under jail of the material world, we'll be covering this part, and then section 3 will be time. We'll be seeing 2 time cycles, universal and lifetime cycle. Fourth part of the class is karma, and the last will be action time. What do I do now? We come to like a preliminary stage of the next class. How do I practically apply the Bhagavad Gita? That's the action time. Quick preview will be part 5 of the next class. Part 5 of today's class will be a preview for the next class. Part 1, spiritual world and material world. Jail of the material world is 2. Section 2, in that we'll be doing 2 P's and 2 C's, punishment, purification, chains and clothes. And then time factor, 2 parts in that, universal and lifetime. And then karma, and the last is action time. Is that okay? So now we'll start. How much free will do we have and how much are we controlled by destiny? That's a question for you.
Our choices make our destiny?
Our choices make our destiny. Who makes the choices?
Mine.
Us. Yeah, the choices are ours. It's mine. Correct? And things that happen in my life, have I chosen it? Like my parents, have I chosen my parents?
There's something that are predestined, I guess. According to your last karma.
Exactly.
We have
Some choices.
These are that we have chosen our parents, but according to our karma.
Our last karma.
Last karma. So there's something called destiny. Still in that destiny, when that comes across, I still have some portion where I can function, and that's called my circle of control. So there are some things under my control, there are some things out of my control. Is that okay? Yeah. Fine. After I understand this point, butterfingers to be. Yeah. It gets dry. So okay. So we'll be seeing those 5 points that I had put up before: Ishwar, Jeev, Prakriti, Kal, Karma, and how these things combine for these things. The karma theory and today's theory. So today I'll make a general thing. The energies of Krishna, now the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. We convinced with that last class. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has certain avatars under the Vishnu Tattva, right? There is Shambhu Tattva, who is there. There are Jiva Tattvas, which are all of us, the 1/10,000th tip of the hair. All of them come under Jiva Tattva, the subjects of the king. And then there is a queen of the Lord. She should be coming second, the Shakti Tattva. Is that okay? After these 4 Tattvas are clear. Now the Lord, as the king, has 3 energies. This is visible? This pen?
Yeah.
It's okay, no? One is his internal energy. Another thing, his external energy. And the third energy is marginal energy. So the Lord has 3 types of energies: internal, external and marginal. And what is internal, external and marginal? There are some Sanskrit words for it also, which I will not be mentioning right now. So the spiritual world, now what is a spiritual world? It's the abode or the home of the Lord, what Bible calls as kingdom of God. Is that right? So then the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Correct? And it is governed by the internal energy of the Lord. What is external energy? The material world is governed by the external energy of the Lord. Means the work is delegated. The Lord doesn't personally do things here. What is marginal energy? That is us, the jivas, the souls. We are called marginal, or in Sanskrit words, this marginal is also called as tatastha. Tatastha. This internal in Sanskrit is called antaranga. That's how that internal word comes.
Said was what?
The spiritual world. External is the material world, bahiranga. That's a Sanskrit word. For marginal, it is called tatastha. Tata means what? Do you know?
Periphery?
Periphery. Yeah, she's close. Tatastha means sometimes a shore, a bank.
Yeah.
The bank, tatas in Hindi, Yamuna ke tat par ya Ganga ke tat par, means banks. Now this, does it have any independent existence? The shore.
No.
Either it's covered by the water, or when the beach is a part of it, so that's what becomes the shore. Yeah, so you have the souls, the individual jivas who are 1/10,000, tip of the hair. The marginal energy of the Lord do not have any independent existence. For their nurturement, for their nourishment, and for their maintenance, they have to either depend on the internal energy of the Lord or the external energy of the Lord. Like a child who's very small, a tiny infant, has to depend on the parent. Is that right? Or depends on the nurse. Correct? So here, depending on the external energy, either we are in the material world or we are under the direct dominance of God, that is internal energy. External or internal.
Which is the internal energy of Lord?
The spiritual world.
The spiritual world.
And this is the material world. And this is Tatastha. So now here, in this, right now where we are here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be defining that also a part of the class. Yeah. What is the meaning of internal energy? What is the meaning of spiritual world? What is the meaning of material world? Before that, we have to understand that we as jivas, we Tatastha Shakti, are going across major setbacks. There are students, so tiny. Right now their life has just begun. Is that right? First 25 years is just the beginning. And in that they take up major challenges. If they have, then they commit suicide. Right? All these things. Even that teenage period is like your body is changing and things are happening. Right? Your trust on your parents is transferring to the students. It's a lot of change. Correct? So in that time, how do you take reversals in your life? How do you take your destiny? And then also Charles Darwin. When he had a major setback in his life, what happened? He was a regular church goer. He believed in miracles. And when his son fell sick due to some disease and died, he couldn't take it. And he turned to atheism, making that theory. Hare Krishna. This is a very popular book. When bad things happen to good people. They believe in law of karma, but they don't believe on anyone up there. That's deism. Good things, you do good things, you will get good things. You do bad things, you will get bad things. There's no one up there. This is just a mechanism with which things work.
But this is bad.
That's deism.
Good. But this is the book is bad happening to good.
Good people.
So
Yeah. And the theory, the deism theory, what basically means is that if you've done some good things, in some time you will get good things. If you have done some things in bad, right now you're facing that bad, but because right now if you continue to do good, you will get good.
But isn't that theory of karma the same?
Karma also says the same thing,
Let's see. Yeah. There's something called, there's a Wimbledon champion called Arthur Ashe. He's a multiple Wimbledon title holder. And when he contracted a very deadly disease, what was millions of fans wrote to him saying that, why you at the peak of your career? And he said that all over this planet, there'll be hardly, say, about 500,000 people who like to play badminton. There are hardly anyone, maybe say 50,000 people who actually take it up seriously, out of that hobby. Yeah, and hardly 5,000 people actually reach to some, a level. And how many actually reach the Wimbledon? Just hardly anyone. Out of that, how many reach the semi-finals?
2.
Finals? 2. Yeah. And then finally, who wins? 1. And out of so many people, I've been winning the Wimbledon championship for so many years. At that time, I didn't ask God, why me? Why did you choose me?
Because the words of Yuvraj also right now.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I think it's an advertisement.
Yeah.
It's actually the words of Arthur Ashe.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said, at that time I didn't ask why me. Right? There was this king who every day he had a regular charity. Every day he would go to the balcony of his huge mansion and there would be villagers standing down and he would throw these, bag of greens and bag of gold coins and goodies basically, and he would just be throwing off the balcony. And the villagers there would be a proper time, 10 a.m. in the morning. They would rush, pick these up and then, just as much as they can take, and they would, every day it was a thing. They would knew that, these things are going to fall down. And the king was just kind of a little sad, and he said to his queen that, I want to give, but there is something called, these subjects are like my children. I want to teach them something called gratitude at least. Nobody even tries to look up and say thank you. Every day I'm doing this. They just are so ready to pounce on things and so busy gathering things and so busy stacking them home that they don't even see that who's throwing them. So the queen gave him an idea. And the king was a little reluctant, but he just wanted to try. So the next day morning when he comes up and all the villagers are just waiting, what happens? When the king extends his hand, everyone starts gathering down, he starts pelting stones at them. So when they get these things, they start looking up that who the hell is it throwing stones? So when something drops on our head and it hurts, what happens?
You look up.
You look up. कौन है? जब अच्छा देता है तब दिखाई नहीं देता है. Just when something comes, then you actually wake up and look. So when this Titanic, which even God cannot sank, what happened? It led to confusion. Some people are confused. Is God responsible for our happiness and distress? Who is responsible? If a leaf doesn't move without His sanction, then are bad things happening to me because of God? So overview of journey of self-discovery. Number 1, the day 1 we decided is that all of us are looking for happiness. Is that right? All of us are looking for happiness. We're looking for permanent happiness. Temporary happiness in the long run is making us more miserable rather. So we're looking for permanent happiness and we're looking for it in the wrong place. Because Krishna is calling this place Dukhalayam. There's obviously something more to this, right? So if the key to this searching, this happiness ends when I connect to God, is there someone up there? So day 2 starts with God exists. There is proof. There is sea Lord, which is a proof for Him existing. So what is my connection to Him? That is day 3. Who am I? I'm a part and parcel. Mama evamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. 15th chapter verse number 7, Krishna says, you are my amsha, you are my part and parcel, you are like my child. And you will be my child eternally. Sanatana. Jiva bhuta sanatana. So that is my identity, that I'm a child of God. Correct? So day 4, if I'm that child, who is my father? Who is that person? Is he impersonal? Is he personal? Both. And his personal form is more superior. And that person is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, according to the Vedic authority. So day 5. So I am a child and I'm depending on Krishna for everything. And my connection to Him as of a child is and father. Then where am I? Why am I lost? Why am I here? Correct? I should be with my parents. What am I doing here? Correct? So here we begin with the story of the prodigal son. It's a beautiful story which was narrated by Jesus Christ to His disciples. The story of the prodigal son. Do you remember the story? We did this part. Paramatma, Atma, Prakriti, Kal and Karma. So here, the prodigal son, where has the soul come from? And in this beautiful story, Jesus Christ relates to a rich merchant, extremely rich. He owned villages and villages. And under him, there were many people who were working, his servants and his attendants, and then he had lots of children. And he was maintaining the children very nicely. One of the youngest of the children approached him one day and I said that, Father, I don't want to be under your control. I want to be free. I want to be independent. I want to live my life my way. It's my life. So he said that you give me the share of your property, whatever share I have, and then I want to go out to the city. I don't want to stay here. I want to, try living independently. What it is that, living on my own terms. So father was worried seeing that, the city doesn't have very good elements and you've been so used to living under my maintenance, under my care, I'm really not sure if you can go and survive on your own. You're too tiny. So he says, no, I want to go. And he was very rebellious. His brothers, his sisters all tried to tell him that, it doesn't sound like a very good idea. And what is less here? There's nothing less here. But still this prodigal son was adamant. And what happens? He takes whatever money he gets from the father, goes and tries to set up things in the city. Correct? So when this rich son of this rich merchant enters the city, what is the first thing that he gets? Friends. A lot of friends, because everyone is attracted to his money, his opulence, and everyone is around and everyone is buttering him, chattering him. Oh, there are only good things about him, right? And everyone is talking to him, and he's so, overwhelmed that, my God, the amount of attention that I get here. There I had to be under my father. Here I'm independent. I can do whatever I want. And in this way, he starts enjoying his life, spending. And what happens when you spend? Does the bank increase your account? Apparently depletes, unfortunately. And that is what was happening. And with all these friends, he started actually getting into bad vices also. Gambling, wine, women. He thought that's the life of enjoyment. And slowly but surely what happened was, he ran out of money. And then he didn't know what to do. Then he thought, no problem, I have so many friends. I'm sure they can loan me some money. I'm sure I can, make things work. And at that time, when he ran out of money, the first thing he got to know was the friends. So when he was knocking on doors, he found all doors shut, were closed. And then he started seeing actually the ugly side of the city. That after enjoyment, these things are quite inevitable. And then he found no support there. Then he thought, no problem, I'll try to make it on my own, try to earn. But then what will he do? All these time he didn't have any experience, nothing, and then he was so miserable. He tried to find things, tried to work out things, but he just couldn't adjust. And even that kind of care, that kind of attention that he was getting in his father's house, he was missing it. But then still, he had that little bit ego that, no, somehow I want to go on. Somehow I'll try to make it. And finally, he became a beggar on the road. He had not eaten anything for days. He had not slept for days because there was no place to sleep. He had lost every penny that he had. His house, whatever he had bought in the city, everything was over. Because loans keeps mounting. And then, finally he tried to go to the little bit outskirts of the city, and he entered a farmhouse, and he was so desperate for food, he was so hungry. He told the farm owner there, he said that, you just do whatever you want, give me whatever work you want. I just need one place to sleep, and I just need some food. I don't care if you don't pay me like a salary. So the farm owner said, see, I have absolutely no vacancy here. If you're still, seeing you, I'm feeling a little bad, so you can take care of my pigs. You can stay where they're staying, you can eat whatever they're eating. So, the prodigal son thought, he's so hungry, Like that he went on and on. He thought, maybe if I can do something, just sustain myself here, I'll get out, I'll do something. But day after day, taking care of that, pigs are not very clean animals, and taking care of them, eating what they're eating, living with them, so stinky, and he was so used to, so much of love, so much of care, so much of attention at that time, and with this merciless master around him, he felt very bad. And that's the day he started missing his father. And he felt, where have I come from? What am I doing here? I can just go back to my father, that's all I need to do. But then he was thinking, how do I go? I was so stubborn there. I thought, I'm the best, there's no one better than me. I don't want to, didn't want to stay with my father. How do I show my face to him? Then he thought, nothing doing, I'll just go back somehow because I'm just miserable here. There's no one else than my father who can take care of me right now. I'll go to him, I'll tell him, I'm your servant. Don't accept me as your son because I don't deserve to be your son anymore. The way I spoke to you, the way I behaved with you. Please take me back as a servant, because he knew the servants were treated much better than, I'm being treated here. So in this way he goes back. And he's walking back. He has a heavy guilt in his heart. He's feeling so bad. He's so regretful. And in the outskirts of the villages where, this rich merchant lived, the villagers saw the son coming back. He was emaciated, he was exhausted, he was so tired, so shabby, and they ran to his father and he told him that, your son is coming back. The father was so happy, he just left everything in the, mansion, whatever he's doing, ran to the outskirts of the village, and he just embraced his son and he said, where were you? I've been waiting for you, I've been looking for you. What were you doing? What took you so long? Then he didn't know what to say. He was just crying tears, and he told his father that, Mujhe kaam wala hi rakh lo, it's okay, I don't want to be your son. He said, no, are you crazy? You're always my son, mistakes happen, it's fine, just come. So this is a story Jesus Christ is narrating to his disciples. And he's saying that actually this is a story of all of us. Where has the soul come from? Where has the child come from? Where has he come to? So this is a picture which is drawn from descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the internal energy of the Lord, the external energy of the Lord, and the journey of that marginal soul from the dominion of the internal energy to the external energy. Right? So this is the picture of the creation which belongs, the internal energy is the dominance in the spiritual world. This is what kingdom of God, as the Bible says, or the abode of God, as the Quran describes. This is the spiritual world, and this is the material world. Now, I'll be blowing up the picture.
No, and you'll explain, right?
Of course, I'll do that. And what is spiritual world? The material world. And 15th chapter again, verse number 1. Do you remember? Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavid. It's quite weird that the Lord talks about an inverted tree, banyan tree, where the roots are going up. My drawing is not that good, so
Hanging roots.
the roots are going up and the branches are coming down. The leaves are going. Yeah. So here, these are the roots. Is that okay? This is the. So where you will see such a tree? All of us have seen such a tree. An inverted tree. Inverted banyan tree. Ashwath. Banyan tree. Where have we seen such a tree? Can't remember. Ulta jhadka bhi dekha hi nahi hai. Seen it. You see it in a reflection. Is that right? Whatever is there in the real tree, will you see it in the reflection? And if you want it, where do you go? To the reflection or to the real tree? We see real happiness because that is the experience of the real soul. And he's trying to find it in the material world, which is a perverted reflection of the real world, which is the spiritual world. I'll repeat. We're trying to look for permanent happiness in the perverted reflection, which is the material world, which in fact is there in the spiritual world, which is the real world. So this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Spiritual world is the real world. We see in the material world, there are relationships, right? There are objects, there are planets, there are people. The same thing is there in the spiritual world. And what is the difference? Temporary and permanent. So similar types of people, relationship, planets, objects that we see in this world are also seen in spiritual world. The difference being that spiritual planets, spiritual objects, spiritual people, spiritual relationships are fully conscious, aware and in knowledge and blissful. That means it is Sat, Chit, Ananda. In the spiritual world are objects made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, or mind, intelligence and ego. These 8 elements are temporary and a part of the material world. The spiritual world, being a original world, is Sat, Chit, Ananda, where everything is eternal, in knowledge and is only bliss. Birth, death, old age, disease is a part of the material world. In the spiritual world there is eternity. So here, this spiritual world, I'll quickly blow it up a little bit. I think it's there in your notes also. Spiritual world is also called as Vaikuntha. Vai means no. Kuntha means miseries. Is that right? So there is a place which is beyond miseries, or where there is no miseries. That's the meaning of this word Vaikuntha. So these Vaikuntha planets, I'm dividing them into 3 parts. First part is Krishna Lok, or also called as, where do I write? Can you see the duster? Where did I keep it?
Flexible laptop on the other side.
Is it? Yeah. Spiritual world is divided into 3 parts. Number 1, Krishna Lok, or also called as Goloka. Why Goloka?
Is it given somewhere?
Yeah.
Krishna Loka, no?
It's too tiny. That's all.
So the spiritual world is also divided.
Yes, the spiritual world is divided into 3 parts. Number 1, Goloka. Go means cows. There are a lot of abundant cows in this loka, in this world, in this place. Because Krishna loves cows, there are abundant cows in his house. Correct? This is the personal abode of the spiritual world, of the spiritual being, of the Supreme Lord. This is the topmost planet. Now the spiritual world, if you see, is in the shape of a lotus. It's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that this place, the spiritual world, is in shape of a lotus, where there's a hole of a lotus right in the center, where there is the topmost planet, Golok, Vrindavan. And then the outer lotuses are like these abundant planets that you see, the lotus petals. Can you see these bubble sort of things? These are planets. Just like how we have innumerable planets in our creation, there are innumerable spiritual planets in the spiritual world. Each one of them has an predominating deity or an incarnation, an avatar living. Like there's a planet for Narsimhadev, there's a planet for Narayan, there's a planet of Pradyumna, there's a planet of Anirudh, there's a planet of Ayodhya, where the Lord is living like a righteous king. Correct? Here the Lord is at home. In Golok Vrindavan, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is at home with his very sweet pastimes as a cowherd boy. He's completely at home. And then there's another abode called Ayodhya Dham, where the Lord is a righteous king. Lord Ramchandra resides with his devotees and subjects. And then there are many other Vaikuntha planets which has different avatars of the Lord living in each planet along with their devotees. So these personalities are eternal, and that's why they called as an avatar when they come down to the material world. Do you remember I was explaining the meaning of avatar? Avatar means one who descends.
But how can, they be Vaikuntha and Ayodhya when Lord is only one?
It's divided himself.
He is divided himself according to the so here we study this, that there are 5 rasas or 5 relationships that are there. Even in this material world you will see. There's one relationship that the shant, there's peaceful. Like there's not much of it's just awe and reverence. Like he's the king and I'm the subject. That kind of relationship. There's a relationship where a person wants to do personal service to the Lord. That is called Dasya Ras. Shantaras, Dasya Ras. There is something called Sakhya Ras. Means the Lord as a friend. There's something called Vatsalya, where the Lord is like your child. Madhurya is the Lord is your equal. Like Shakti Tattva shares with the Lord, being his eternal consort. You are in conjugal love with the Supreme Lord. So all these 5 rasas are found in this Golok Vrindavan. And the Lord reciprocates, like with Hanuman. Hanuman, for him, Lord Ramchandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He wants to serve him as a servant. So the Lord has the form of Lord Sri Ram, who's like a king. Right? So in that way, there are many innumerable. Remember when I defined permanent happiness for you, there was the 4th object was variety. Do you remember? Yeah. The 4th...
What was the 4th?
For permanent happiness, there were 4 things which are required. Do you remember? This is one that you can, means it's ever increasing. You can share it with loved ones. Do you remember those 4 points? There was variety and there was one more thing. I forgot. Ever increasing, I said. Share with loved ones. Permanent, of course. Permanent happiness has to be permanent. Correct? Means it doesn't get over. When I'm hungry and I'm eating, what is happening? It's being satisfied. Yeah, and after some time I'm enough. Right? So that's not permanent happiness. That's permanent. It's temporary because it's going to get over. Right? So the spiritual world, there is variety. That means the Lord is not only in one form. He is in millions of forms. Somewhere he is like a Buddha avatar. Somewhere he is Narsingadev. Somewhere that's how the devotees have different relationships with him. Like Yashoda, for her, like that baby, she has love for that baby Krishna. So the Lord also has a Gokul planet which is separate. Okay? So there are innumerable planets with different forms of the Lord. Because the devotees share different relationships. The relationship that you share with your child is different, and what you share with your husband is different.
No, but when you say that God is one,
And He has many more forms. God is one. He can expand, can He?
but that means He's everywhere. That means a part of Him is everywhere.
Yes. I told you that Paramatma is in each and every material atom. Right? Like the sun, if you're standing in Charni Road and I'm standing here in Grant Road and it's 12 noon, the sun is going to be over your head, the sun is going to be over my head too. Is that right? How is that if there's only one sun? He is there, and what happens, He can also be there in different places also. Do you get this point? He can expand into many more forms. It's mentioned in Ishopanishad. Do you know Ishopanishad? It's the topmost Upanishad that is there. Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purna Purnam Mudassate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. He's saying there is a complete being and he expands into complete wholes. Like suppose if I have a piece of paper which is material, when I tear it and make to pieces, the original paper is gone. The Lord is not like that. He is Purnam. He is a complete person. He is so complete and He is eternally complete. Even though He expands, He can expand into a complete person and still be a complete person, even though there are so many expansions coming out of Him. Is that okay? That's the definition of the Supreme Lord. His expansions in Ishopanishad verse number 1. I'm sure this shloka is very famous. Om Purnamada.
Yeah. But what I don't follow is that when you say God is Paramatma, that means He can take births and rebirths? You mean to say that?
No, He is eternal. Is the soul taking birth?
Soul is taking a different body.
Yeah. The Supreme Lord, I remember I gave you an example
God
of...
cannot take a body.
He has a spiritual body. His body is Sat Chit Ananda always.
Always. He's a spiritual body. Then Krishna has taken birth.
He has? What does the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam say? Did he take birth? Or did he appear? Does the sun take birth or does it appear?
Appears.
It takes birth every day in Japan when it rises, or in the Bay of Bengal when it rises.
Then Vasudeva and Devi, wasn't Krishna born through that?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Vasudeva and Devi.
In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described when the Lord appeared in Deviki's womb. And then, did they conceive through intercourse? No. Krishna appeared in Vasudeva's mind. And in that, it was transferred to Deviki's heart. And that's how the Lord appeared in her womb. And then He came out directly. And how did He come out? In a 4-armed form. If He has to take birth, He has to be covered in amniotic fluid. He has to be crying. But the Lord appears with full jewelry, amazing bluish hair, that bluish tinted hair that He has. That's the description in Srimad Bhagavatam. And He has full 4 ornaments. That Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. That's not how if a child is born, the way that technically how everyone is born, Krishna is not born. Krishna has appeared clearly.
So then what about all the kids that Devaki had earlier, which were killed by...
6.
Yeah. So that were not born this way.
That you can read the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sure you'll find more details about that. But Krishna appears. He doesn't take a birth. And that's why it's called an avatar. One who descends. Avatar. The meaning of avatar is not one who takes birth or one who appears.
Krishna only.
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of
Yeah, so
Godhead.
when He comes, so that is the only time
The original
He himself
person.
has come.
Exactly. We'll be doing more of that in Advanced Bhagavad Gita course. We have a complete level called avatars. The types of avatars and everything.
But then
We'll be covering it there.
They always show Krishna as a child. We never know what happens when Krishna grows up and...
That is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. He has grandchildren. What his grandchildren are doing.
I'll just step out and put a severe headache.
Yeah, sure. Is the AC troubling you?
No, I'll just come back in 2 minutes.
Do you want something to eat or anything?
No, I don't know, it's just one side of mine is throbbing.
Sure.
I'll just come back.
Sure. You need some assistance? I can help you.
No, mother.
Are you sure? Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, what were we talking about? Something, no?
Avatar. That's the last word I heard. You said...
Okay, you're saying that Krishna has grandchildren and everything. That is
Yeah.
okay, but it's never been like, I've always heard stories of Krishna as a child, never heard stories of...
Have you read the Srimad Bhagavatam?
But then generally, in schools and wherever I have read,
Schools don't even talk about schools. Not even half of what is there here is given in school. This is thanks to the Indologists who
Whenever I have
came.
read those spiritual books or whatever, I've always read about Krishna as a child.
Childhood
Never-
pastimes.
Yeah, never read about Krishna.
I think there are about 120 stories of Krishna in the Krishna book itself. You'll find it in the gift shop, something called a Krishna book, which has only pastimes. That is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, condensed, It's one book. If you read the entire Bhagavatam, it's like 12 cantos, 18,000 verses. But if you pick up only the 10th chapter, you can pick up a Krishna book, which is available in the gift shop.
It's not in one of the books that you've given us?
Krishna book is not there.
Okay.
Krishna book is not. That is more about Bhagavad Gita. All those books are more on Bhagavad Gita. And that's a conversation, 700 verses, more elaboration in each book. If you read it, something on reincarnation, something on laws of nature, all these things. Exclusive pastimes of Krishna is there in 10th canto. It's very sweet. First 3 chapters, there's a lot of philosophy about Krishna's appearance. So your idea about Krishna taking birth will be smashed in that first 3 chapters of that book. It's very expansive. How he appeared, how the demigods prayed first to Brahma, because he was so tormented by Kans and his other friends, so many demoniac forces. So Krishna doesn't take him birth just because, he comes yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavata bharata. He's got 2 clear agendas whenever he appears. When there is too much irreligion, and because he wants to re-establish dharma. So these are the 2 agendas when he comes, to kill and to re-establish dharma.
Yeah, but this is the only time that he himself comes
As Krishna is, that is once in a day of Brahma. We'll be calculating what is a day of Brahma also in this session. Yeah, very fascinating. I hope it's not confusing. So is this okay? There is the topmost part in Golok Vrindavan, the center of the lotus, which is a form of spiritual world, and then there are outside petals also, which has innumerable planets, also called as Vaikuntha planets, correct? And there is one more aspect called the Brahma Jyoti, which is beyond this material world. This Kailash Parvat, where Shambhu Tattva and Parvati stay, is also not part of the material world. We'll be doing more about this in advanced Bhagavad Gita courses. So one more aspect is Krishna's effulgence, like there's sun and there's sunlight, correct? So there is the spiritual world, and the effulgence of Krishna is called the Brahma Jyoti.
Is between the spiritual world
And the material world. And it's beyond the material world, it's not part of the material world. Right? So Vaikuntha planet is where the different incarnations of the Lord reside, and the spiritual light, or the Brahma Jyoti, that is it's the 3rd part of the spiritual abode. The spiritual light pervades the entire spiritual sky, and it's the personal bodily rays of the Lord, which is expanding. When a spirit soul from the material world, when he gets liberation or mukti or moksha, what happens? He comes to reside in this Brahma Jyoti. Just like when a plane takes off, and what happens? It disappears in the sky. Correct? So this Brahma Jyoti is where mukti or moksha, or people who've got liberation, the yogis, they attain the Brahma Jyoti. Then what happens? They may live here for millions of years.
So this is our heaven. Let's say if we go to heaven, this is the
Heaven is part of material world, where the 33 crore demigods live. We'll be coming that when we come to the material world. Right now we're still in the spiritual world.
Those are not demigods.
No, these are only incarnations of Krishna. This is the spiritual world. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Demigods are material world. We'll be coming to that. So here, spiritual world, spiritual planets, spiritual abodes. This is the Brahma Jyoti, where the where the yogis or those who have attained moksha and liberation can go. Unless these people develop bhakti, it will be difficult for them to come to the Vaikuntha planets.
So you can have people going up there also.
If you have bhakti, you can go to the Vaikuntha planet. Yeah. If you stop at moksha, at liberation, at the most you can go out of the material world is up to the Brahma Jyoti. And there, when you have a desire, the nature of the soul is active, so it's going to have a desire for a relationship or for any activity, you will come down to this material world again. So Brahma Jyoti is again a temporary place, because people can come down unless they have bhakti to go up. So what is the qualification to go to the spiritual world? Those who simply achieve mukti will fall down again to the return to the material world. This is what is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is this material world? Is this okay? Clear? 3 parts of the spiritual world. There is the personal abode of Shri Krishna, Golok Vrindavan. The other incarnations are part of the Vaikuntha planets, innumerable planets, just like there are innumerable planets in our universe. And then there is Brahma Jyoti. Now we come to the material world. In the spiritual sky, there is one part which is called the dark cloud. That small dark cloud is compared to this material world. As Krishna says that his entire creation, the material world is only 1/4 of his creation. And the spiritual world, which is the rest of his creation, is 3/4 of his creation. So that way this material world is very tiny. It's compared to a dark cloud in the spiritual sky. Now what happens in the material world? Now I remember previously we discussed about this Mahavishnu. Previous class, day 4, that was last Friday. We discussed about this last Wednesday. We discussed about this Mahavishnu. From his pores, there are unlimited universes coming out. If it's too cold, tell me, I'll turn it on. You can see all going inside. I'll turn it on later. Is that okay? Many universes coming out of his pore when he exhales. And when he inhales, what happens? Everything goes back in again. So it seems as if, such a short span, but what happens then? So unlimited universes which come out, again he expands into one more Vishnu form called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Do you remember? One of these universes, which is our universe, where we are living right now, is expanded in this picture. Now remember, I'm repeating again and again, this is simply one of the things which are coming out of his pores. Okay, there are unlimited and this is just one. Can you see Garbhodakashayi Vishnu here? He gave birth to Brahma, who comes out of a stem when a golden lotus sprouts, and there is Brahma in it. We have a 4-headed Brahma in our universe. Right? What does he do? He's like a construction engineer with the 8 elements available: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and ego. EMI or MBA, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. These 8 elements which are available to him and the knowledge which Vishnu gives to him, he starts constructing in this universe something called the 14 planetary systems. Now these are not 14 planets, these are 14 planetary systems. That means each system has thousands of planets in it. Each planetary system has thousands of planets in it. Right? So starting from, remember, suppose if there's a builder who takes up a redevelopment project and he builds a nice building. The topmost, a lot of times they take up the topmost floors and they make it into a beautiful suite or a penthouse and they keep it for themselves. So the topmost planet here belongs to Brahma. This is Brahma's abode, which is called as Satyalok. Okay? Below that there's something called Tapalok, where great tapasvis stay. They live, very higher intelligent beings. Janalok is where the 7 sages, Saptarishi, they stay. They're the children of Brahma. Maharlok, and then there is Svargalok. Yeah, that is where Indra is like the chief god, and the other 33 million demigods stay here in this realm. The next realm is Bhuvar Lok, and then the next lake is Bhulok. What is Bhulok? Earth.
What is Bhuvar?
Bhuvar is where Rakshasas and ghosts live. Is one particular realm where ghosts and Rakshasas live.
And what is Mahir?
Maharlok. There are a lot of, again, I think there are Gyanis and Tapasvis staying there. Basically, so people with higher.
Above us.
Bhulok is gross. There's gross and subtle mix. Now here, if you go to a higher range, there is higher, facility. Even the body is much more superior. Like the demigods, they don't have to evacuate the way we have to. Sorry, very gross. They don't need to. Their body is much more capable than it is ours. Their body is more subtle. The mind, intelligence, ego has more of a dominance there than just this gross appearance. That's what makes them more beautiful. Bhulok, Earth planet. Now we're going, what is below? The lower planetary systems are again 7. We finished 7 here. Satya, Tapa, Janar, Mahar, Swarga, Bhuvar and Bhu. Bhu is Earth. And then there are 7 down, which are the hellish regions. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal and finally Patal. I'm sure everyone heard about Patal. That's the abode of Yamraj. Correct? The sinful people from earth planets go to Patal for, like a court. And things are decided. They can either come back here to take an animal being or something, and then we'll be discussing that in karma. But just remember, there are upper regions, there are lower regions, and then there is in the middle, that is Bhulok. That's the earthly planetary systems are in the between. So this is called a karma bhumi. Whatever you do here will decide whether you go up or you go down. And one small thing I'll mention is the ladder to the spiritual world also starts from this planetary system. It means if you have to go back to the spiritual world, it has to be from where we are right now. Human being. This human platform is where this ladder to the spiritual world goes. We'll be discussing more about the ladder next class. Yeah? So is that okay? Yeah. We did material world, the entire creation of the Lord. Energies can be distributed into 3: internal, external, marginal. Internal is the spiritual world, external is this material world. Correct? You can see Krishna is delegating all these things to so many personalities. And then there is marginal energy, the jivas, the souls who are either residing in the material world or residing in the spiritual world. After that, we go to the second part of the class. Now, what is the criteria which brings me from the spiritual world down to the material world? Now, again, I remind you that when the soul desires to be independent of God, like the story of the prodigal son, just how Jesus described how this tiny child wanted to be independent of his father, wanted to go away and live life himself. When the soul desires to enjoy independent of God, the soul comes down from the spiritual world to the material world. By misuse of free will, we come down to this material world. Correct? Now, if God wanted, He could have just kept us in the spiritual world, saying that no, you can't go.
But
Sometimes
everybody He makes this goes down because it's a game.
no, that's not true. The scriptures say that otherwise why would He come down? Why would He come
It's
down?
our choice to come down.
Yes. The very fact that you have a material body means you have material desires. Is that right? The day we have spiritual desires, we'll be back to the spiritual world. That is the only requirement. Good use of free will. You know, like if we have a robo, what does the robo does? Whatever we've programmed. Correct? But then can I have any relationship with that robo? No. I can't, maybe I can point my gun on Pooja's head and say, Pooja, say you love me. So she'll have to. But what is real love? When she automatically says out of her own free will, that is relationship. That is the relationship we share with God. He wants us out of our own free will to serve Him and love Him. The day we try to misuse it, He says, okay, fine, try it. If you think you can be independent, you can try it. Like when the child, remember I gave you this example, that when a mother, she's cooking and the child wants to cook, what happens? It's not in her capacity to cook. So what does the mother give her? Does she punish the child?
No.
So she gives her some game, small things, some material objects that you can play with, which are exactly like the objects in the kitchen. Can they cook things? When she is hungry, she has to come back to the mother. When we feel that love, that affection I'm not getting from any imperfect being here. The material objects are dead by nature anyway, they can't give me any happiness. What is there is maybe you, she's also a spiritual being. But what happens? She's imperfect. I'm imperfect. I'm incomplete. Complete relationship is when I have a complete person. That is Krishna.
We don't have names of all those,
It's too tiny.
yeah, so we it somewhere or can we take it on?
Sure. Actually, what I'll do is next class, next Friday when I come, can you just send me one SMS? Maybe I can buy this chart and give you all. It's got we have a small chart laminated which we give out to students. It's whenever there's a requirement. So maybe I can give that to you next Friday. It has all the names and everything in it. Yeah. What is blown up here, a small part of that, it's I think this size, A4 size, the chart. And the names are pretty clear in that. I'll give you.
And then the description about it, like or anything.
That will be in the advanced courses.
What is it, advanced courses? Sir?
Material world and spiritual world. It's a part. We have a 6-level advanced Bhagavad Gita course. In that 6 sessions, sometimes 2 sessions, we cover details about the material world, spiritual world, details about karma, details about avatars of the Lord. Like that, there are many
Only
levels.
6 session course.
6 sessions, but there are many levels of course. Each level has 6 sessions, and 2 of them covering. Like here, I'm covering 3 aspects in one class: karma plus the material world, spiritual world, plus the time factor. So in that class we'll be covering only one theme very nicely, like thoroughly. Like avatars, right now I just gave you a brief thing, I didn't tell you anything about avatars. Avatars is literally, I remember we took about 2-3 hours. That means the entire month we took about 2-3 hours to cover the avatar session. Neeti has done this, Neeti Agarwal, she had done it, you can ask her. You're still struggling, Madhu?
Yeah. Really in a bad way today.
You want to drink water or something? Because
I have dates. No,
I'll continue?
yes.
So down from spiritual world to the material world, try to become independent of God. So when the soul leaves the spiritual world, what happens? Number 1, first, the spiritual entity is covered by a subtle body. Gets an ego, gets a mind, gets an intelligence. Material ego, material mind and material intelligence. Second thing which happens, again, the soul and the subtle body is covered with a gross body, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air and ether. Is that okay? And then he gets a particular gender, whatever it is. And then finally, the third thing which happens, the soul forgets his identity as Satchidananda and he starts identifying with the subtle and gross body, his material body. Yeah. Right now, imagine if I have to look into the mirror. I remember Premji Prabhu was mentioning this about 3 weeks back. If you look into the mirror and if you think that this is not me, can you believe it? Oh. Even something happens to our face, we're so disturbed. Thinking, oh, something has happened to me. The soul is identifying with this gross body so much. Is that right? Why did God create the material world as temporary and miserable? Like as you said, is he like a sadist who likes to enjoy us, enjoy seeing us suffering? Why has the soul come here? Yeah, but material things by nature are temporary, which is making us miserable. So that temporary nature is something that is there. It's inevitable. So why has the soul come here? Because
whenever the soul has come from the spiritual world, all the souls have come.
no. I'll come to that. Just remind me later. Huh? So a servant trying to enjoy independent of a master is a thief. Like you have a car, you own the car. If your driver takes it for his own, thing, what do you call him? Thief. But when he's trying to enjoy it, like when he's sitting in the car, he's also enjoying the same music, the same AC, the same thing. The only difference is that the owner is at the back seat and the driver's in the front seat and driving it.
Such a big thing that you are talking about.
Yeah. When we try to enjoy things which belong to someone else. When I define God, I told you very clearly, He is the supreme source, He is the supreme proprietor. Do you call your children thief?
No.
Yeah.
I think and how God, everything is.
Yeah. Now, what I'm trying to say is, do you call your children thieves? No. They're enjoying what belongs to you. Your hard-earned money, or you're maintaining everything, and your children are enjoying the same thing. When they take away something without your authority, what happens? Are you upset?
No.
When they misuse it, are you upset? How do you teach your child a lesson then? Yeah. So servant trying to enjoy, or a child trying to enjoy independent of the parent or of the master, is a thief and has to learn. Rather than that word suffer there, I would like to use the word learn. So why has the soul come here? If you are stubborn and we want to rebel, sometimes experience is the only teacher. Thank you. Yoga has not yet come, is it? 2, 4, 6. Right? Like there's a child, and he wants to. I remember Prabhupada was giving this example. These table fans you would get earlier, these tiny table fans, and his child, he wanted to put, his finger just to see what happens. Sometimes children are so curious, and he's like, no. So Prabhupada told his child, okay, fine, do it. And what happened when he tried to go a little closer? Even if you hit a little bit, it makes a loud noise. And he got so scared. What happened? That experience taught him that, okay, this is how it is, and I should not touch it. Like fire. The child wants to touch fire. How much ever you say, ki nahi, aisa hota hai, waisa hota hai, the child has to, if he is stubborn, then you have to let him experience. So Lord creates this material world for our benefit. Sorry?
So you mean to say that all the souls don't come down?
All the souls don't come down. I'll tell you why and how many souls come down. So this world is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So why is God creating this temporary, messy, material place? It's for 3 reasons. Number 1, to wake up the soul from the deep slumber of material existence. The story of the king who pelted down stones. And at that time we realize, to wake us up, this material world is created. There's a beautiful thing, anyone's Punjabi here, maybe they'll remember. Dukh mein simran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein simran kare, to dukh kahe ko.
This is someone's doha.
The Kabir, yeah, it's a doha. I remember Punjabi saying it more. So distress is natural for people. It's quite natural in distress to look up to the God. But even if we are happy, if we have a habit of looking up to God, then we'll never be distressed. Is that right? When you look away from the sun, what do you find? Darkness. So is it our fault? Is the fault of the sun? It's our fault that we try to turn away. Number 2, to help rectify and purify our existence. The jail of the material world offers some things. Why did God create such a messy place? Now imagine, you have to plan a city. When the governor has come to you, he's building a new city, Lavasa, and he's giving you, to plan it. What are you going to plan in that city? What will you do? Infrastructure, exactly. All these things are required. Buildings, theatres, hospitals, stadiums, malls, gardens, playgrounds, bridges, roads, schools, water, all these infrastructure ingredients are required. And you require a prison house? Is that right? Why?
People who don't follow the miscreants.
Yeah. 2 types of people. Those who are rebellious, those who are stubborn, don't want to follow the laws, are put into a confined area. How many people are put in the prison? All the citizens are put in the prison? So how many people come down to the material world, Jayashree? All the souls?
Oh, so all the prisoners.
Yeah. It's only those,
Deep meaning,
only those who have been stubborn, rebellious, and learning was their only way to rectify. Those have come to the prison house. I'm also hearing that.
No, but then that means we don't know how many more years or how many more births of suffering.
Day 6 is still left. Yeah. So now the infection or that mentality of breaking the, remember day 1 I told you that mentality of breaking the God's laws is what is keeping us here. It's only those souls who are rebelling are put into a prison house.
And the others go.
The others are still there. Are you in the prison or am I in the prison in this city today? No, because it's our free will. We chose to. And how much? What does it take to abide? Is it austerity? To abide by the laws of God? Are you making a conscious effort to abide by the rules which our government has made? No, you're paying your taxes, you're doing things nicely. And those few who are not doing it are inside the prison. So Krishna says 1/4 of my creation is the material world, the prison house. The 3/4 is the spiritual world where people are living with God. So we are invited also. It's not that we are debarred. And the people who are in the prison house, why is the government making the prison house? To torture them, to keep them there forever? No. Teach them a lesson. In fact, the government wants them to come out and be good citizens.
So what are they doing over there?
What are they doing over there? We'll discuss that.
Yeah, I mean, like if we what are we doing that?
What are we doing here?
No,
Searching
so
for happiness.
Then only that motivation will come. Okay, I want to enjoy that. It will only come if you know what's happening over there.
We'll come to that. So the third thing is to inspire us to rise to our higher spiritual platform. So pain, if you think pain is, that's it, now I have to suffer, then we're always in ignorance. When we take pain as a learning process, like suppose if I'm cooking in the kitchen and I hit a hot stove, what happens? It pains and I take it away. What if the pain was not there? What will happen?
We'll do it again.
I'll do it again and my hand might get burnt and I won't even know it. Right? So that pain rather is like, a warning, a wake up thing that I have to take my thing away from this hot object. Right? So pain is like a wake up call. Correct? So now suppose I've given you already an analogy of a prison and a normal working functional society. Correct? Now if someone comes, now the soul has come down from that functional society of the spiritual world to this material world. Is that clear? Now when someone enters a material world, what happens? The jail of the material world, we are here. There are 2 P's and 2 C's. Correct? When a prisoner is brought in the jail, there is punishment and there is purification. What is the punishment? The punishment in the prison house and the punishment to us here is birth, death, old age, disease, BDOD, and also the 3 types of klesh, miseries, adhyatmik, adhibhautik, adhidaivik. All these things are wake-up calls. Do we see them as suffering or do we see them as experiencing pain for a higher object now? Now your vision will be very clear. Now your vision will be very clear. Now if I have pain in my life, it's like someone trying to shake me up. Tell you that you have a higher realm to go to. You can get out of here. Otherwise you become too complacent and too comfortable. Imagine in the prison if the person says, यहाँ पे तो बैठे बैठे खाने को मिल रहा है. Outside if I go, I have to work hard and sweat and toil. What happens then? Some punishment is required or no? There has to be some tedious thing that a person might feel that, oh God, I have to come out of this place and I want to be better off. Correct? So these 7 things. 4 plus 3, 7. So who's the jailer for this prison house? Durg. D-U-R-G. Sindhudurg. There's so many fortresses. Fortress or a confinement or a jail or a prison. The one who takes care of it is the Home Minister. Durga Devi. She is the one who actually, that she carries that trishul and she puts in that Adidaivik, Adhibhautik, Adhyatmik, Klesh. This is a thankless job that she is doing for Krishna, that Shakti Tattva. She does that. That's why I'm not putting her into the category of demigod because she has a very special position. What does Durga do? She wakes up complacent souls and coaxes them to go back to the spiritual world. Okay. How does she punish? With these 3 klesh. Adhyatmik, Adhidaivik, Adhibhautik. Once you get this material body, birth, death, old age, disease is a package deal. Correct? So these are our punishments. Now punishment is not that the Lord is sadist. If He is punishing us, is for some purification. What is that purification? These 6 things that we have gathered in this material world. The acronym for these 6 things is I Pagal. And man, I'm thinking of something else. I stands for illusion, P stands for pride, A stands for anger, G stands for greed, envy, L stands for lust. Is that okay? These things are the mountains of dirt which are there in my heart.
This is like Maya, no?
Moha.
Moh.
Illusion. Pride, anger, greed, envy, lust. Now when someone who's dying on a deathbed but still thinking that, oh my children, my this, my that, illusion.
Yeah, like lobh, moh, you know.
That moha matsar, that's the 6 things only. 6 anarthas. Anartha means, artha means something which has meaning. Anartha means it's a useless thing. These 6 useless things are there in my heart, and I need to purify these. That's why I've been giving this punishment. So what's the first thing done to a prisoner? Obviously I can't wear such hep clothes or very designer clothes over there, fancy clothes, fancy ornaments. I've been asked to wear a uniform.
What is it?
Yeah, what is the uniform? So clothes, right now I finished this punishment through BDOD, purification from eye pagal, and then the clothes. Right now I'm here, the 2 C's. The first C, the first thing which happens to me is I have to change clothes. How do I select these clothes? Any idea? Based on the karma, based on my desires. And suppose if I go to a mall, and there are so many shops in that mall, correct? There is traditional clothes, and there is formal attire, and there is semi-formal, there's casual attire, there's western attire, there's Indian wear, there's only bridal wear. Depending on the place that I have to visit now, I'm going to pick up the type of shoes, the type of this. Is that okay? So even these clothes are according to my desire. How many shopping variety do I have? Now see this lady. What is she doing? She's changing her makeup, her hair, her clothes. Is she the same person? Yeah. She's just changing every time according to the roles that she is playing. You can imagine how many clothes you have to change, right, Madhu? You have to just keep changing, correct? According to the, like even when we have to go to events, according to the place we have to dress up. So the material nature gives us 84 lakh costumes to wear. There's a shloka in the Upanishads, it says, Jalaja nava lakshani, sthavara laksha vimshati, krimayo rudra sankhya pakshinam dasha lakshanam, trimsha lakshani pashava, chatur lakshani, manusha. Now what is that? This is the grid.
So we don't take 84 birds, we take 84 lakh
Varieties.
That's the variety. I cannot wear all the clothes in one day, but I will pick and choose. Correct? Now here, 9 lakh species living in water. That are the types. So many types. Imagine there's so many combinations of desires which have created these bodies. Right? It's my combination. Suppose I have to go here also, I have to go there also. I'll pick up something which fits for both. Isn't it? Sometimes if I have very less time to travel, I wear something which can match both these occasions. So the desire which is there, 9 lakh species in water, all these species, 20 lakhs non-moving entities like trees,
And corals,
something which cannot move from one place to another. Even in trees there are so many objects. There are plants which are stationary in one place, but they are carnivores. They actually eat insects and all these things, right? 11 lakh species of insects and reptiles. 11 lakhs. There's so many. Yikes. Someone who's asleep can wake up with these pictures. Me. 10 lakh species of birds. Correct? So many types of birds.
So we have a choice of any of this.
84 lakhs. 30 lakhs varieties of quadrupeds. That's 4-legged. So many of them. According to different habitat.
Why would I choose to be an animal? Or it's better to be an animal.
Your choice is based on your
Activities.
actions that you do.
Activities. My desires will choose. And I want to sleep a lot, and I've been given, like suppose with a diamond, a dhobi washes his clothes. क्या होगा? Someone will take it away, na? If someone is not using it properly. I have a human body, what I do is only sleep with it. So God is merciful, He'll give me something like a polar bear who sleeps for 6 months. Why give such an expensive thing as a human body? Give something which will fulfill your, I suppose I have a human body and I only want to do is drink blood, and there are people who actually cut off the monkey head and sip blood. There are delicacies in countries like that. Why have a human body for that? You can take a tiger body who's anyway drinking. You can smell hot, blood in a animal. and drink that. Human species is 4 lakhs. We thought human is only one species, but this is according to the consciousness of a person. Like if you see these pictures, it's all variety of desires and consciousness. Even demigods are included in this 4 lakh. Yeah? All of that totals to 84 lakh variety of species.
Human species have the intelligence to, let's say, to be
ABCD.
Yeah.
Extra is
Others
ABCD,
these,
others
these
don't
other
have.
souls will never get a chance to reach up to it.
I'll come to that. So it's a prison without walls. It's a soul who's taken birth. Now suppose I lose my human life. I go down here. When do you get a chance again? To millions and millions of lifetimes. Because still you have to evolve to all these things and then come back here.
Human and then again
That's
back.
why this human life is so expensive.
Precious.
It's so precious. Excuse me. Yeah, it's so precious. How many years do we get in human life? 100 be not even maximum 100. I can say just 80.
80 average.
Yeah, 80 is the average, bare average. And then so many, if I don't make good use of this, what happens?
Slide down.
Slide
And then how
down.
do you go up again?
Evolution. You take birth, this, take birth amongst these species, take birth amongst these species, then after millions of lives. Imagine if you're stuck in, imagine only an oak tree you get. Minimum 5,000 years you have to live in that body of that oak tree.
Then you just go to the next room.
Then you get to the next, then the next, then the next, and then you get human
No, it
species.
depends on our karma and where we fall to, what level we fall back.
The lowest is insects,
But
aquatics rather.
That's what I heard my grandmother used to say. That it depends on our karma. Suppose my karmas are bad,
Yes.
but not so bad, so I may be in the
Third
snake.
level, okay.
Yeah,
Or so-
but then you have to go through this evolutionary
This
process
evolution,
again. Yeah.
yeah.
Now suppose you have dogs roaming in Rolls Royce.
Yes.
How would you define that? You had such bad karmas that you had to take
But he
care.
doesn't know he's sitting in a Rolls Royce. I mean, it could be anything.
But it's still, I mean, if you're scratching your body with fleas all over your body and being taken care so luxuriously, even the dog will feel that luxury compared to living on a street. What he's eating, he's getting food on his plate. Right? He doesn't have to hunt and work so hard as that dog in that street. It's definitely better, at least that comfort level he'll feel. So his karmas were so bad that he had to be a dog, but then some part of good karma will make him, put him in a Rolls Royce. So you'll see there's so many combinations.
But he gets only human life to change his karmas. That's
To
it.
stop this whole evolutionary process, you have to come to
Climb
this.
higher. Go up.
Go up. Don't come back again.
That is very
You have one
important.
chance to go.
But that is very important to know what's happening over there.
Yes. Tell me.
After the human life then?
What's after the human life? I'll tell you. That's the last part of action type.
That is most important.
We're still here. Definitely. You're coming to it. Is this okay? At least the
When
definition.
you do bad karmas, you can also fall down. From human level, you can fall down.
Yeah. There's so many humans who are living like animals, isn't it? What do you do? Now, number one, after the change of clothes, there's also something called handcuffs. Right? There are 3 types of handcuffs: golden, silver, and iron. Even in you see in prison houses, in high-tech prison houses, there are some first-class prisoners, where you have your own cabin, you have your own toilet, and everything. And then sometimes TV also, politicians get it sometimes, good facilities. And sometimes you're put into this dark room where the food is only once a day. Why such things are done?
Depending on the level of crime.
Yeah. Level of your rebellion, level of your crime. Correct? So these 3 modes, or the 3 handcuffs, first class jail, second class jail, third class jail. There's this sattva gun, there's rajogun, and there's tamogun. There's goodness, passion, ignorance. I'll show you this table which makes it more easier. Goodness means you're still in the jail, but you're in a class jail. You can get out soon.
So we all are in a jail, you mean to say that?
Yeah, the material world is a jail.
Yeah. Freedom from sins and sense of happiness. This is what characterizes a person in mode of goodness. Generally, that person is very positive towards life. Doesn't give unnecessary trouble to others, has a positive approach towards life. That is mode of goodness. And then mode of passion, what characterizes that person? Unlimited desires, just wanting more and more, and always in a hurry, and then unlimited opposite sex attraction. That also characterizes a person in passion. That's like a silver handcuff. What's a person who's in a dungeon? It's always sleepy, always lazy, intoxication, like drugs and this, that. That is a person in mode of ignorance. That is a very low class jail. Is that okay? Those are 3 types of handcuffs that we're wearing. The clothes that we're wearing is 84 lakh, the material bodies, species, and then this is the 3 handcuffs. I'll quickly revise. From the spiritual world, the soul has come down to the material world. In the material world, which is a jail, there is some punishment we're going through. That's birth, death, old age, disease, and Adidaivik, Adibhautik, Adhyatmik, and then purification from Aipagal, the illusion, pride, anger, greed, envy and lust. That's all. These 6 things what we have to get rid of. And then the chains are these 3, and then the clothes. Now these 3 chains, every object in the world can be put into these 3 categories. Goodness, passion, ignorance. A person in mode of goodness, what does he eat? Eats something which increases the duration of his life. Something which is fresh. It gives strength, it gives health, it gives happiness, it gives well-being, it gives like a satisfaction after you've eaten it. Like fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, non-violent milk products. All these are products of mode of goodness. What are objects that are food and passion? It's too bitter, too sour, extreme tastes. Hot, pungent, dry, burning. All these things are in mode of, means at least when you eat, naak aur kaan se to dhuan nikalna hi chahiye. That kind of food. What happens? Such foods cause distress, they cause misery, they cause diseases, they cause too much of, the heat element in my body is increased. So food with extreme taste or eaten in extreme result, which result in disease, pain and misery. All these types of food is in mood of passion. What about ignorance? Food that is stale, that is tasteless, is decomposed, it's putrid, is actually an untouchable object. Food consisting of remnants and products of violence, it's dear to those who are in mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. Animal fat, meat products resulting from violence and slaughter of animals, all kinds of intoxicants, all kinds of drugs, which carry one to the mode of ignorance. Correct?
Often food is mixed. Often food is eaten in a mix.
Yeah, sometimes you have some good things. That even during the day, it's not that I'm only in mode of ignorance. Even during the day, sometimes in the morning I feel very fresh. In the evening I feel a little lazy. Again in the evening I'm too passionate. I want to do so many things. A person can have a combination of these 3 also. Like even music, even sports, the way we dress, everything can be put into these 3 categories. You can identify. That's a characteristic, symptoms of a person in these 3 categories. Like even if you see music, music which has a science in it, some sur, some tal, which is pleasing to the ears. In fact, the art of music, when you learn, there are some types of music which even, makes your health better. Music therapy, these things. So that kind of music is in mode of goodness. Music which is like, too loud, it causes heart palpitations, which damages your ears, that is in passion. A mode of ignorance, which is just agitating someone else, instigating people. Even the people who are singing it, a lot of times they die out of overdose of drugs. That kind of music is in ignorance. It's not even music, it's just noise. Classic example was in Ramayana. Vibhishan, the 3 brothers, Vibhishan was in mode of goodness. It was easy for him to surrender to the Lord. Isn't that right? Mode of passion was Ravan. Mode of ignorance was Kumbhakarna. Famous 3 brothers. So Durga is motivating us to go back to spiritual kingdom, back home, back to Godhead. So this is a quick revision of the Prakriti part, this portion. We have come from the spiritual world down to the material world. There's punishment, those 3 elements, all these elements, purification from these 6 things. There are costumes which are given to us, 2 C's. First is costume, second is chain. Costume or clothes. I've written clothes here. The chains are 3 modes of material nature which is making us bound. Now, that is Kal, the time factor. There are 2 types of time factor. One is universal, one is the time cycle. Now, in the spiritual world, is there a time factor?
Must be, but not aware.
Must be.
Spiritual time has no past, present or future. Because everything is eternal, it's existing forever. Everything is present, everything, it just increases. One can understand that experience of eternal time only when one rises to a spiritual platform. So that we'll keep aside. Right now we're referring to material time. Now if you see, everything that functions in the material world is in a cyclic pattern. Even if you see our clock, it goes in a circle. There's day, there's afternoon, there is evening, then there's night. Then again there is a day, it's a cyclic pattern. Correct? So even in, there are seconds, there are minutes, there are hours. Correct? So this whole cycle of a day and night make 24 hours. How is the universal time cycle counted? It is counted in Yug. Cycle, how we count in hours and in minutes and seconds. The universal time cycle has an object called, has a quantifiable measurement called Yuga. Now we have years.
Written all this. It's written in
Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam
In fact, a
or
little
Bhagavad
bit
Gita?
Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita has a very small gist. It is chapter 8, verse number 11. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu. Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Tejo Ratra Vidu Janaha. That
So then
shloka
Bhagavatam
says.
is most important. You have to read Bhagavatam.
For you it is 10th canto. If you want to know what is happening in the spiritual world.
You want it?
So just like daily time moves in circles of morning, afternoon, evening and night, similarly universal time cycles moves to Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. After Kali is over, again there is Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. So that circles. Satya Yuga, the whole, it's called the golden age. Which is this, what is the span? 17 lakhs 28,000 years. Treta, 12 lakhs 96,000 years. Dwapar, 8 lakhs 64,000 years. Kali Yuga is 4 lakh 32,000 human years. Now every planet has a different calculation of time depending on their proximity to the sun. What is an atomic time? The sun, the time the sun takes to revolve around an atom, that's atomic time. Correct? So each planetary system has a different time cycle according to its proximity to the sun. Correct? So this is the human years. So what you have to do, you have to remember only the Kali Yuga year, 4,32,000, because this multiplied by 2 will give you the span of Dwapar. Again this multiplied by 3, Treta, will give you a span of this. This again multiplied by 4 will give you the span of Satyug.
We are right now in the Kali.
When I calculate this whole thing, what do I get? I get the same, I'll write it here, it's 5, na? 4 lakh. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, but how do we know where we are in Kali?
I'll let you know. Just 1 second. Give me a time. Right now, you know, days and nights are going on and on. Same way, these are many cycles. This is not just one cycle. There are many cycles like that, which have been finished or which are still pending. Right now, we are in the 28th cycle of now in a day of Brahma. There are 14 Manus coming and going. 14 Manus are the father of mankind. 14 sets of demigods which change. 14 administrative sets one Brahma can handle, in a span of a whole universe, in his day. His one day, his whole lifespan is different. I'm talking about his one working day, 12 hours. I'm not even talking about the night. Night he sleeps. I'm talking about his 12 hours. There are 14 administrative sets which are changing. Right now I'm going very technical because you asked for it. Now in that Manu, there's one administrator takes care of a particular time span. Like one prime minister rules for 5 years. उस 5 years में कितना सारा कुछ हो जाता है. Correct? So in his lifespan, we're in the 28th cycle of one particular Manu. This whole cycle. So we're right now in Kali. Now if you count 21st century, only 5,000 years have passed in this Kali. So how many years are left? At least 4,27,000 years to go for the next Satyug to arrive. Very good. So this is universal time cycle. This is how it moves. Basically, it moves in yugas. Is that okay?
Very complicated. I mean, how do you relate it to your birth, like mine?
I can't imagine 100 years are nothing compared to this whole huge thing. That's why I was talking about lifetimes. So many lifetimes we passed in Satya, Treta, Dwapar. इसमें fail हो गए तो इधर पहुंच गए. इसमें fail हो गए तो इधर पहुंच गए. इसमें fail हो गए तो इधर पहुंच गए.
अभी इधर में fail हो जाएंगे तो अभी wait. वो तो there are so many lakh
years you've already gone through.
Yeah, but now if I want this to be my last birth,
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. So one Chatur Yug means one Chatur. Chatur means 4, consisting of 4. This is basically this multiplied by 10 makes one Chatur Yug. If you just remember the span of Kali Yuga, you'll get a whole calculation. This multiplied by 2, this multiplied by 3, this multiplied by 4. This multiplied by 10 will give you one Chatur Yug. I won't even tell you how long Brahma lives. The Sahasra Yuga Paryantam is, I think there is Yuga Paryantam. There is one more thing which comes, it's Chatur Yuga, and there is one more thing which is 72 of such cycles, and it makes.
This one? Okay, one cycle of universe is 7 lakh.
Yeah, it's written there. How much is it? Can you?
20 lakhs.
That is one cycle of.
One cycle of universe.
This universe lasts for 7 crores, 20 lakhs, Chatur Yugas.
And one Chatur Yuga.
So much. And one Kali Yuga is so much. That's why I'm talking about.
So which cycle are we in?
Which cycle are we in? That information is there in Bhagavatam. You can check. 2nd canto. As I told you, one particular day of Brahma has this. So many things.
If I want to know where I am, everybody has got a different.
How many souls are there in this planet? Oh yeah, it's here. Sorry, one cycle of the universe is 7 crores, 20 lakhs, Chatur Yugas. And then Brahma goes off to sleep. Yeah, how times change, in Satyug it's different. People are very sattvic. There is the age span is like almost 1 lakh years. So for them also this time is less. Even they feel, my God, we're going to die. Yeah. Treta Yuga, again the time degrades a little bit. Dwapar Yuga, time degrades more. Kali Yuga, there's absolutely no culture. Everything burns out. Now we go to lifetime. Even in a life, even in one body, there are 6 things which are happening. Birth, which is the first thing. There's growth. There's maintenance, like you start looking the same for some years, and then production, there's reproduce, and then there is dwindling, it's old age, and finally death. These are the 6 changes for every living being. Maybe it may be a tree, even it's a microbe. Few seconds, उसमें क्या हो जाता है? Birth, growth, maintenance, produce, dwindling, and death. Finish. Few seconds and that germ is finished. Like a small, you have these particular lilies which take birth at sunset. By the time it is sunrise, they are finished. So for us, these yugas seem so long. Brahma still wants to live more. He feels his 100 years of lifespan is less. Like that lily, if that lily looks at human beings, these people live forever. Isn't it? Because what is that? 12 hours and finish. Lifespan is over. In that 12 hours, it's like 100 years for that lily. Because birth, growth, maintenance, production, dwindling, death is finished. And now the question is, why do we have to go through that cycle of birth and death?
No, but that's because we've done our bandits.
Yeah, that's because of law of karma. So that is that connection to law of karma. So quick recap, spiritual world and material world. Soul has come from down to the material world because it's prisoners for rebellious souls. There are 2 P's and 2 C's happening here. Punishment is meted out for particular purification. And for these 2 things to happen, there are chains and clothes. Now we've done the time factor. This is how we are being bound by the time. Some universal time factors and some lifetime factors. And now we come to law of karma. Now in the material world we find so much variety. What variety? Some are born rich, some are born poor, some are strong, some are weak, some are beautiful, some are ugly. They're born like that. Some have a lot to eat, some don't even have a drop. Correct? Some get the best education in the world, some don't even have basic needs, some are very fair, some are dark, some stay in a mansion, some stay in small huts, some are born to rich parents. Variety hai?
Yeah.
There's so much suffering around us. Is God responsible, partial and cruel?
No, you just said it's because of our own.
Got it. So all the varieties of happiness and distress, pain and pleasure, rich, poor, dark, whatever, all these things, they are governed by a particular law. The judge who is judging or giving a judgment doesn't have any personal grudge with that prisoner, right? He is just judging, correct? So God is compared to a judge. The same judge awards either rigorous imprisonment to someone or just just cash, plenty of compensation to the other. And his judgment is based on 2 things, not any personal equation. What is it? Activities of that individual, what that individual person has done, and the laws which are already done. They are set. The constitution, like even our government has a constitution, correct? It has a particular flag. It has a particular
Activities of the individuals we understand that good or bad is, but laws of the land means.
Laws of the land means if you kill a cow and you cut a potato, there's a difference. Although both the things are killing, there's a difference. Is that okay? Cow is like a mother. Now our mother feeds us only 9 or 10 or 12, maybe 1 year max. And baki time who gives us milk? It's the cow. So cow is like the mother. So killing the mother is more heinous a crime than cutting a potato. Although it's the same, you might think, isne bhi murder kiya, maine bhi murder kiya. I murdered a potato, he murdered a cow. There's a difference. Is that okay? So that is the law of the land, the laws of nature which have been put down. That's basically coming in map. It's all there in the scriptures. Now what I'm trying to say is that we might think, that Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu, na me dvesho asti na priya. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. See, I'm not having a personal grudge with anyone. I am equal to all. He's a simple judge. The Lord is seated as Paramatma. Now we say, who's given him the authority to judge? Because he is sitting in our heart. He is the prime witness for all the things that we have done. Now the judge, he asks, now what is the proof? What is this? What is that? Who is the best person who can judge? It's the Paramatma and his other people who are working around him. The sun, the moon, the wind, all these people are witness to our activities that we have performed. We might think no one is watching us, but all these elements are watching us along with the Paramatma in our heart. Is that okay? So definition of law of karma. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Do you agree? I just made a difference between a potato and a cow. There's a difference. So every action is not, this is the law that Newton has made. But actually it's different. What Jesus Christ says, as you sow, so shall you reap. When you have sown mango seeds, what you're going to get is a neem tree? A mango tree. From neem tree, if I want mangoes, then it's something wrong. I've sown a neem tree, I'm going to get neem leaves. Correct? So how does this law of karma work? Right now I'm going to say it's very intricate. There are so many things which are involved. Intention, the circumstance that person was. Someone kills for defense, someone kills out of grudge. Correct? There's so many elements which are involved. So right now, if you ask me, iske liye what is the reaction? Difficult, because it's the law of the land and the authorities are perfect. That's the faith we have to keep and go. How does it work basically? It works on the aspect of three doers. Is there only one doer? For example, I want to go to Madhu's house. Madhu, where do you stay? Malabar. I want to go to Malabar Hill. Or I'm going to your house. What do? I go out, I take a taxi. And suppose if I stay, suppose that side, Tough Parade, and I have to pass the whole Marine Drive and then go. Now I get off the taxi, I say, thank you very much, Bhaiya, and I walk off. What does the Bhaiya say to me? But I can tell him that you also enjoyed the ride. Marine Drive ka hawa khaya ki nahi? So why should I pay? Chalo half kar lete. Is that okay?
Not okay.
Not okay.
Even because you wanted to.
Exactly. There are three doers, agreed. What are these three doers? The taxi driver, and me. Who's responsible? It's me. The person who am I? I am the soul. Where am I? I am in this material world. What situation I am in? I am in this material body. This clothes and the chains are there with me. I am bound by the three modes, the chains. What is controlling me? The time factor. Who is watching me? Paramatma. Now how does this work? How do these three doers work? The primary doer is the soul, because everything starts with his or her desire. This is the instigation. It begins with this. And to execute my desire, the material world creates maybe the roads or whatever you say. The material body is like the taxi, correct? And then the three modes are there, the directions, the time factor, the time that I have to reach, the time it takes, the traffic. All these things combine to execute my desire to reach that particular place. What does the driver say? Paisa bharo. You've enjoyed this thing, you had this desire, you enjoyed it, execution is done, now you have to pay. And everyone blames God when wrong things happen in their life. Correct? It's only the judge. Correct? So also there's an example of a restaurant. I go, I place an order, say I want to eat a pizza. The person who waits on me goes inside, gives the order to the chef. The cook prepares it, the waiter gets it back on my table, I eat it, and I just walk out. I have to pay to the cashier. Right? So the cashier is like that judge, is like that Paramatma. The waiter and the cook is like the material world, the material nature, the Prakriti, who is combining all these ingredients to fulfill my order, my desire. Is that okay? And then I have to pay. What is the cost of pizza? Do I pay for the dosa? I pay for the pizza. Right? So what are the different kinds of karma? There's good activities, which is also called in Sanskrit as sakarma. Bad activities, which is also called in Sanskrit as vikarma. And neutral activities. What is this? Or spiritual activities is called akarma. Three types of activities. Am I clear? Good karma called 10 minutes more. Just 10 minutes. It's too cold. Sakarma, vikarma. I've written only karma here. Sakarma, vikarma and akarma. That is good karma with good reactions, bad karma with bad reactions, and spiritual activities which have neutral reactions. They're only giving me spiritual blessings. So what activities can be called akarma or neutral activities? For example, battlefield of Kurukshetra. Duryodhana is killing. What is he gathering? Vikarma? What is Arjuna gathering? Sakarma? Arjun gathers akarma, because he is doing it on the instruction of the Lord. He didn't want to fight. It's very evident in first chapter. He didn't want to fight, but Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. You do as I'm asking you to do. Now, for that matter, practical question. Krishna was there with Arjun. How will I know? That is why there's a map. There are scriptures given. And exactly we have to follow what is there in the scriptures. And then what happens? Do we get these two? What we get is this. We get akarma. More about akarma will be day 6. In fact, the entire day 6 is how to perform akarma.
I don't know. I had this thing that akarma means when you do any good activities without any result, without the intention of any good result.
That is good activities.
But without any intention. Like
That's
you
no
do
problem.
it, how we said that karma kiye jao, phal ki chinta mat karo. That's all. So when you are doing that is akarma. No.
The problem with this world is, what is good for me might not be good for the others.
But then that is called selfishness.
One man's food is another man's poison. That is the way this world functions. When I'm eating something, even if it is vegetarian, but still I'm killing. When I'm cutting, there's bacteria dying. I'm deprived of of course there's a difference between chopping a potato and chopping a buffalo. When I pluck a fruit, I'm still not killing the tree, but still there is some little amount of karma involved in it.
Yeah.
So that karma will affect me. But you will say eating is my necessity. So, how do I perform akarma here? Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti uparatam tashnami prayatatmana. He said, whatever you eat, he's saying Patram pushpam phalam and toyam. These 4 activities is what I accept. And the next shloka is, Yad karoshi yadashnashi yad juhosi dadasi yad. Yad tapasyasa konteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. He said, whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you offer and give away, you first, whatever austerities you perform, whatever you sacrifice, first you give it to me. But what does Krishna do? He takes away the karma which is involved in that food.
But then
It has to be patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Oh my God, this has never happened before. So scary.
I think it's gone everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pitch dark. What do I do? I can't see. Can you all see me? Yeah, because this light is there, no? What I'll do is I'll turn this around so you all can see at least the laptop.
Yeah, that's it.
I hope it functions. I hope there's battery in this at least. Yeah. There's full battery. Good. Can somebody do something? Okay, we're here, na? Can you all see Miloni? Yeah. I can see you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I think this is fine. I don't require this. You can see Madhu? Yeah. Jayashree?
Yeah.
Next to you is Pooja, no? Yeah. I'm just guessing now. Yeah, so there's 3 types of karma. Any beneficial activity that I perform for someone else, it's to the benefit of someone else. That is a good karma.
You see?
You sure, na?
Yeah.
What is bad karma? Which is harmful, harming someone else. Correct? So that is bad karma. Just 1 second, I think I'm lost.
Mataji,
Mm-hmm.
I heard that whatever karma we do starts in
Pooja is
the thought.
asking.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Whatever karma we do starts in the thought. So what is that?
Starts from the thought.
Yeah.
Actually, let me inform you that in Kali Yuga, thoughts don't have any reaction.
Okay.
In previous Yuga, even if you think, no, I'm going to kill this person, you would get a reaction.
Oh, okay.
Only for Kali Yuga, there's a concession.
Oh, okay.
But even if you have a good thought, it doesn't matter. Okay, I want to help someone, or I want to do this, it doesn't matter.
See, what happens with good thoughts is you will have a sense of positivity and you will do good things. Everything starts with a thought. Yeah?
There's no reaction.
But yeah, there's no right now, at least in Kali Yuga, there's no reaction for it.
So if we think good or bad, either or, it doesn't create any karma. It's just the way the mind works.
Yeah, and the problem is that you will perform it.
Okay.
Because everything begins with a
Yeah.
thought. That becomes your attitude.
Yeah.
Then it becomes your character.
Yeah.
And your action becomes your character.
Okay.
Correct? So even that thought we have to be a little bit careful about. Correct? So here The result of good karma is increase in positivity, happiness in this life, and then either you take birth in the higher planetary systems or in a very good location in this same earthly planets. And bad karmas, what is the reaction of that? You go down to the hellish planets, or you take birth in the lower species in these earthly planets. Right? And what happens with akarma? Akarma, there is chutti from the cycle of birth and death, and you go back to the spiritual world with akarma. Okay, so more about that will be day 6.
You know that middle space between the spiritual world and the material world. You go in that middle space.
No, not Brahmajyoti. Okay. Topmost. With akarma you go topmost because you're working for the Lord now. Yeah. What are the different kinds of karma? Is that here?
Yeah.
I think I'll come a little bit here. Karma is good activities, good things that we perform. It gives us heavenly situations. Vikarma is
Bad activity.
now who defines what's good, what bad? How do I know? I have to know in the Constitution of India, right? Like suppose if I'm driving, I should know what are the rules of the road, correct? So Krishna says in the first aphorism of Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That you're a human being, you must know. You must know the scriptures. What are bad activities and what are good activities? I'll be describing the bad activities more in the next class, but I'll just, because I don't have the board now. There are 4 pillars to dharma. Dharma or religion or any society to function nicely, it requires 4 pillars. Is that right? For this room to stand, you require some beams and some pillars. Like that, for dharma or a society to function nicely, you require 4 pillars. What are these 4 pillars? Satyam, Shocham, Tapa and Daya. Satyam is honesty or truthfulness. Shocham is cleanliness. Tapa is austerity. Daya is mercy. Without these 4 things, even a family cannot function. Why mercy? It's a soft heart. That is mercy. That you're merciful to someone who is younger to you or is more incapable. Like for example, the lower species, the animals and the plants, we have to be merciful to them. Correct? That is what it says. So that is all or any function or any activities which bring which break down these 4 pillars. How does this mercy break down? By meat eating. Yeah. The slaughterhouses, when they are maintained, the mercy factor is broken down. So that is in the category of vikarma. Honesty. How is honesty challenged? By the habits of gambling. So that becomes under the category of vikarma. And then what is that? Satyam, Socham. Cleanliness. How is cleanliness internal cleanliness and external cleanliness? Internal cleanliness is harmed by illicit sex behavior. It means sex which is indiscriminately done without having a marital relationship. That breaks down the cleanliness in a person. Number 4, what did I say? Satyam, Socham, Tapa and Tapa. Tapa is austerity. That means leading a very austere lifestyle. Not only tolerance, patience, but living lifestyle with a good environment around you. And that is challenged by habits of intoxication, alcohol or drugs. So that comes under the category of vikarma. Is that okay? So we are done with karma, sakarma, and we are done with vikarma. Akarma we'll be doing in the next class. Now quick FAQs that are there. This is the last class. So there is vikarma, bad activities, illicit sex, and this is illicit sex and intoxication, which leads to hellish regions of the creation. And then there is akarma, where we work directly for the Lord. Is this fine?
Yeah.
Action without reaction. Bad action gets bad reactions, good actions get good reaction. Now the question is, what is the duration of the results of karma? There are 2 types of duration. One, you can get instant. That means, a boy has misbehaved with a girl and she immediately gives one. Now that's instant karma. That's like a ATM machine. Instantly you're getting cash. Or it's like a post-dated check, or delayed. It can be delayed. Like a mustard seed and a coconut seed. For coconut for you to get the fruits, it takes like years to come. And mustard, it grows in like 3 months and you get the crop. It could be delayed or it could be instant. For example, Dhritarashtra. When Dhritarashtra lost 100 of his children in a matter of 18 days. Now Kshatriyas is supposed to fight so many battles. Losing 100 children in one battle is a great loss for one Kshatriya. So Dhritarashtra asked Lord Krishna that why did this happen? How can I lose everything in one battle in a matter of 18 days? So what did Krishna tell him? That 50 lifetimes back, you were a hunter. How many lifetimes back? 50. So you were a hunter, and in that lifetime, what did you do? You killed 100 children of a sparrow, and you shot another arrow and blinded the father sparrow. So 50 lifetimes later, your 100 children are killed and you are born blind. So he asked a question, what was I doing for 50 lifetimes? Why is it not in an installment? Why is it come after so long? So what did Krishna tell him? That's delayed karma. And 50 lifetimes, you are earning the merit to get 100 children. Because to maintain 100 children, you need some money or not? Even to take care, imagine the cost of one child, or someone like eating like Duryodhan who's got mighty arms of an elephant. How much you require? Resources. So he was gathering good karma for 50 lifetimes.
So that it will be swiped away.
So that it's swiped drive in that 51st. So, what is good? Good karma, bad karma or akarma? Akarma. Definitely akarma. Because rather good and bad, the problem with good karma is you still have to take a birth again. To get that result of it, you have to take birth. Correct? So the law of karma works on whom? Is it that we share karma? Can I give my karma to someone else? Individual karma. All the karma, whether it comes from personal individual account or collective, is enjoyed by the individual. If it's good or if it's bad. Like a person meeting with an accident. He is in the hospital, he is suffering the pain. There is something called collective karma also. For example, a marriage. What happens in a marriage? There's a pact. When you're bound in a marriage, the wife gets 50% of the good karma of the husband, and the husband gets 50% of the bad karma of his wife, and this is not vice versa.
Oh, really?
We didn't profit. Yeah. Good, no? So this pact kind of alters individual karma accounts, karmic accounts. Is that okay? Of course we'll be okay. The husbands will be mad now. So also generally what happens, people who have kind of similar karma, they're brought together. Like suppose an airplane crash or a natural disaster. People with similar karmas are brought together. And then that mishap happens. Right?
So who controls all this activities?
Number one, Paramatma, because he is the supreme witness. And there are authorities who take care of these things.
Okay.
Yamraj and his attendants.
So this happens like Brahma is the one who's overseeing everything.
Yes. Brahma is the one who is assisting and giving us different types of bodies. And who decides the karma, what is good, what is bad, is done by Yamraj.
Okay.
That's why he's called Dharmaraj. Because he knows this law of karma by heart. Who gets where, who goes where, everything he decides. And exactly how it is done, I'll tell you, we have a temple in Bengal. This place is called Mayapur, which is 4 hours away from Calcutta. There, they are building a huge temple, and inside the temple in the main hall, they're building a museum, which has the Vedic planetary system. Where these 14 planetary systems will be clearly being actually constructed in the center of the main temple hall. So when that is ready, you'll have like a actually working model of these 14 planetary systems, of how exactly the sun moves. The sun has its own orbit too. We think the sun is stationary, but actually the sun has its own orbit. The sun has its orbit, all the planets have its orbit. And how the soul moves from one place to another, even when he has to go to a hellish planet or he has to go to a heavenly planet. It's a little bit of gist of it is given in Bhagavad Gita. There are two ways for a person to pass away from a body. One is a medium of light. One is medium of darkness. So that is there. There's a lot of intricacies in it. So when we see that Vedic planetarium, right now it's just being constructed. Once it's ready,
So then
we'll go there.
I've heard of people praying to sun and people praying to everybody, but never praying to Yamraj. I think we should be praying to Yamraj too.
Rather, you pray to Krishna, you'll be out of the... See, Yamraj has control only over the sinful people. People who are not sinful, he doesn't have to bother about them.
But what's the category of sinful? Like
Yeah.
right and wrong, what should we say?
I mean, we are doing so many.
Yeah, but there are some people who are like way off. Yamraj takes really those who have absolutely no drop of piety in them. So Yamraj has to, Yamraj has to really take care. Like, when does the president interfere?
When there's an emergency.
When there's real bad things going on. So Yamraj is at that level. For others, these attendants, other people are doing it.
So which
But if you
attendance
have to
we
worship,
still learn to butter them.
number one, you have to surrender to Krishna, because Krishna is the Lord of all these people.
Okay, what about telling lies? Where does it stand in the karmas?
Hari bol, there's a lot of things to finish. I'll finish that and then answer your question, because Niti has to go. Sorry,
Yeah.
Ignorance is it an excuse? I didn't know the law of karma works.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. You're a human being, you need to know. Does karma apply to animals?
Yeah.
No.
They don't have anything.
No.
They don't have anything. They don't do anything out of their program. If you see a tiger never eats something else and a deer, it's only human beings who are doing these things.
So it doesn't
Correct.
apply to animals.
Sorry?
It doesn't apply to animals.
No, laws of karma don't apply to animals.
But then,
And the way I behave, I'll become an animal. See, once I'm in the prison, then what happens? I'm already katoing the whatever things that I've done. Correct? I'm already going through the, punishment. Once that is over, then I'll be, maybe, once that part is clear, then maybe I'll get, hopefully, a human birth again.
no, but what about the trees and the marine life and the animals? How do they come up? Like through what process do they come up?
Come up means what?
Like you show that chart, right? That from the marine life to the trees to the
You mean
insects
who
to the
takes
animals.
birth in the trees?
Yeah, like how do they come? Like if they don't have karma in there, how do they come up?
Somebody has to take birth. See, that body is already there. These species are existing. Brahma is creating them. Yeah? He simultaneously creates everything. And the soul has to take that particular body or enter that particular seed. That's when it starts growing. The tree by itself is a dead thing. It's only that soul in that body which is living, and that's why it's growing and giving fruits and giving flowers. The minute the soul is out, what happens? You seen dead trees? What is the difference? It stops growing. It starts decomposing because the living force is out. Someone, Narad Muni says in Srimad Bhagavatam, one who is fond of wearing less clothes or one who enjoys seeing people with less clothes takes birth in a body of tree. Because then they pose without clothes for years together.
So our birth, as in to which particular category we belong, as a human being or a tree or an animal, depends on the past karma of our previous life.
That's specifically the last minute. Krishna says, Anta kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. What you are thinking, see, whatever activities I've performed will come back to me what is most important to me will come back at the end of my life. When I'm dying, my whole life flashes through. Whatever time I've spent something which is most dear to me is what I will attain. Yeah, like there's a story of Bharat Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, there in the 6th canto, I think. And he was very fond of the deer. So he took birth as a deer. Because that's what he was, contemplating at the time of his death. So the question here is, does good karma and bad karma nullify each other?
No.
No.
You'll have to face each.
Yeah, face it. 7 good and 4 negative. They don't nullify. It's not that I'm left with 3, 7 minus 4 and then 3 good karmas are left. So why do bad things happen to good people? Because of their past karmas. Karmas are what we are depositing. You've seen silos in these villages, which are huge granary tanks. Whatever thing is done is put in that silo. And what happens for years and years together, they are stacked up. What will come down first? Whatever I've stacked 5 years back. What I've stacked first. Not that, I've had the best thing last year, so I want it now. It will take time to come. So this is FAQs. How does the law of karma work? There are 3 doers: the soul, the material nature, and God. These 3 factors are working together in karma. 3 types of karma. Who gets? Does God get or material nature gets it? No. I get it because I initiated it. 3 types of karma. There's good karma, bad karma, and akarma. Good karma, I get good reactions. I get a chance to go up, heavenly planets. Bad karma takes me down or to the animal species. What does akarma take? Takes me back to the kingdom of God. That is day 6. That spiritual bank account that I have. Law of karma works individually and collectively. And then law of karma works on whom? Is ignorance an excuse?
No.
Unfortunately, no. So does good karma, bad karma nullify each other? No, you have to do separately. Bad things happen to good people because of
What should we do now?
what should we do now? We have to come for day 6 now. Yeah? Who's that? Just 1 minute more. Human life can be compared to this train junction. A junction from where I can change the course of my journey. Either I go to heavenly planets or I go down. Bhagavad Gita explains that lifetime is a preparation, death is the examination. So the conclusion is, if we remember God during this lifetime, at the end of my lifetime, what happens? It becomes easier for me to remember God and go back to Godhead. More about that will be day 6. So I'll stop here. But please take your prasad. Just get there and then you can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's no light.